Good afternoon, everyone. This is Brandon Despia here, and we're back with another update to our branded DracoTail deck list. I've been testing this in locals and modifying it between Thursday and now. I actually got 3-1 this past locals on Thursday. Faced K9 Crystron, faced 2 Yummy decks, lost to one of them, and then I also went against another branded mirror, which is very interesting. Honestly, I'm surprised a little bit, but that we saw at my locals anyways, a lot more branded, or just DracoTail. Let me just put it that way. But a lot of people are going towards other versions of DracoTail, and I'm just here to say that I think this might be the better version. This might be the better version. Calling it right now, branded DracoTail is just ridiculous. And we're going to go over the deck list. This is a 60 card deck list. It is possible to play it as 60. It is not even an issue, to be honest with you. And I have some tech options I want to talk about to get access to some pretty crazy things. I did make some changes from the last list, especially in the sideboard. I want to talk about that, and I'm going to go over some things I've learned and things to keep out for from a niche scenario while we're going over the deck list. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if this video helped you out at all. So starting off with the 60 card deck list, we're running 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. You want to max out on these in any variant because the DracoTail variant wants to run as many monsters as possible. However, many people are plotting to run Super Poly, and while Super Poly is a great card and it is a spell, so if you don't need Super Poly, you need another monster to play, then it does make it awkward for you. And while Albaz isn't super polymerization, it's similar enough, and it'll let you use it as a Super Poly when you absolutely need to, through fusion deployment, for example, or from special summoning through Quem or other effects. Okay. We're running 3 copies of Aluber, the Jester of Despia. This is our main combo starter, also running at 3 since we're running a 60 card build. Nothing really much to say here. Aluber is your 1 card starter. You do want to make sure you remember that you can special summon this back if your opponent deals with your fusion monsters, and then also negate some monster effects or put another body on the board. We're running 2 copies of Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. It's a very strong card, but we only need to run 2 for this build. We're running 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous. This is one of the best cards in the deck, to be honest with you, with this variant. You want 2 copies. Running 3 is a little bit too much, but since we are running lots of Albazes, we can special summon this from our hand by getting the Albaz on the field or in the graveyard. We're going to talk about this card later, as this will get us into a very potent floodgate in the form of the Shaddoll window. We are running 2 copies of Guiding Quem the Virtuous. I have been testing with 1, and every time I went to a local and ran 1 Quem, I lost a match specifically because I lacked the 2nd Quem, so no more of that. I think it's pretty much guaranteed you have to run 2 Quem if you're running a branded variant. Running 1 just doesn't do enough for you in the grand scheme of things. You can run it, but you got to be very mistake free in your plays. And this gives you a little leeway, and it's just such a powerful card, being able to recycle fusions and other cards from your graveyard when your opponent tries to push with extra deck plays. So it's really, really good. Also, remember, you don't have to necessarily wait for your opponent to do anything. You can just simply use your own fusion summoning techniques or use your branded and high spirits to trigger the effect of Quem. So, for example, if your opponent wants to use something like Molchami Fool Loss on you, then what you can do is just set the copy of Quem, get a monster in the graveyard like Albaz, then set the branded and high spirits, get a Mercurier on your opponent's turn through the high spirits, and then set Quem off to get Albaz on the field, fusion summon into an Albaz fusion, and now you have the Mercurier in hand to continue playing on your opponent's turn. So cards like Fool Loss, the Molcharmies, they don't really affect this deck nearly as much as other variants because we have access to not only Cartesia but the Quem. We're running one copy of the Tri-Brigade Mercurier. We only need to run one for space reasons, but also because we have the ability to special summon it from the graveyard and recycle it back to our hand with cards like Artholion. So, as you'll notice, Artholion does a lot for the deck. It allows us to run more one-ofs in some places that we normally wouldn't think of doing. One copy of the Spriggan's Kit. This is an extra copy of essentially a Luber, and it's a little bit more expensive. Searching through this, it typically is done through either branded Lost or branded in High Spirits. One copy of the Despia Tragedy. It's a very nice card to fuse away, and you'll often be using this card for its effect of banishing itself from the graveyard to set a branded spell or trap. So, we're running two copies of the Bestial Serenir, just an additional hand trap that is mostly, I would say, not as relevant in today's meta, although it's great against Yummy. However, that along with the Bestial Lobelian and the Magnum Hut, we're going to be running Mag instead of the third Serenir here, but Serenir is going to be great when we fuse it away. It allows us to create more advantage when it's into the graveyard. We get more branded spells and traps into the graveyard that we can use later, like High Spirits, Branded Opening. Then we're running 3 copies of the Molcharmy Full Loss, 1 copy of Idol the Supreme Magical Force. Like I always say, guys, if you have the ability to have access to it, then you should have it. I have yet to go for the lock in my games, but it's always good to have it, even regardless of your feelings on using the lock or whatever. Just do it. I mean, you know, the game is the way it is. As long as it's legal, it's available. It's not like you're doing anything wrong. Like, I don't like seeing people justifying not using it for any subjective reason, to be honest with you. I mean, you're going first. You're trying to go into one of your locks along with back row, along with the interrupts that you normally get from Branded or DracoTail. That's just the truth. It's the reality. They'll have to deal with it. And then we're gonna run 1 copy of the Dark Magician actually for this build. We're going to have access to Dragoon for this deck for a while. We're gonna try it out. Dragoon just does so much in this format. There are a lot of, whether it's the K9 cards, the Vanquish Soul cards, or the Yummy cards, they don't really have an answer for Dragoon. Vanquish Soul does have the Holly Suit to take, but you can just negate that. You see what I'm saying? So, or have another monster with lower attack. And then they have to use non-engine to be over this. And you have answers to cards like Dark Ruler No More or Droplet through cards like through your DracoTail traps. Okay. We have 3 copies of the Fine Mina for the DracoTail cards. Always a 3, no matter what variant of DracoTail you are running. You run 3 of this. Quick effect fusion on turn 0 is too good to pass up. It's just one of the strongest cards in the new set right now. People are starting to realize it, and the price is going up. So make sure you have your 3 copies if you haven't already. You're also running 3 copies of Mululu. This is also non-negotiable. The Dark Dragon typing is so pivotal for not only your branded plays, but your Shaddoll plays as well. This also is a dragon, which allows us to go ahead and use this for other fusion monsters like Chaos Star Source Dragon. We're also going to be able to use this ability to quick fuse on our opponent's turn if we need to. So, like I said, one of the reasons why branded DracoTail is so strong is because it's able to, easily avoid Molcharmy lines by just simply playing some quick play spells, playing DracoTail, Mululu, playing Cartesia on the board, having the Fine Mina in hand, and simply passing, and just play on your opponent's turn. You might give them 1 draw at most if you really don't want to. If you really want to, and you're totally fine. We're running the 1 copy of Urgula, and then which is for the spell and trap destruction. This is all non-targeting, by the way, and the Mululu's a non-targeting. When it's fused, you're going to be able to negate a monster's effects permanently. Very potent, very, very potent. And then we have the 1 copy of the DracoTail Pan. DracoTail Pan was a new addition. I wasn't running it before, what I decided to go ahead and do, just give me another option for destroying a monster on the field. This is also non-targeting. And if, a fusion monster, not just DracoTail, but if any fusion monster is destroyed that I control by an opponent's card effect while this card's in my graveyard, I can place this card on the bottom of my deck so it gives it recursion, and then special summon a non-fusion DracoTail monster from my graveyard. So you would probably want to go for example, the Malulu. So this can special summon Malulu, and then you can fuse with the Malulu to bring another fusion monster out, and then have extra, kickback, basically, revenge, monster negation, or popping, whatever you want to do when your opponent tries to mess with your board. Very, very nice. I wasn't running this before, but I changed my mind. I'm going to run it now, and because I've added these extra dragons, it does justify the use of the Magnemite. For the spells, we have 3 copies of the Branded Opening, 2 copies of Branded Night Spirits. I would have liked to run 3, but for this build, we're going to just run 2. I want to see them, but not too much, you know what I mean? We have the 1 copy of the Branded Fusion, the 1 copy of the Branded Lost. Before I go any further, Branded Fusion's interesting because in the DracoTail variant, your lines are going to prioritize one particular fusion over another. Typically, before, we would always, if possible, go for the Red Albion line, which was the way how we usually accessed through Albion the Branded Dragon, a line that gives us not only the Branded Lost, but other plays as well, like, especially if you ran Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. But now we focus more on the Bestial Rebellion for our fusion plays, because we want to bridge into our DracoTail lines through the Malulu. 1 Branded Lost, a very broken card. 1 Branded in red. Most of the search, if you can search for it, I would totally go for it. Typically, you're just going for your generic fusion plays. I mean, we're not running Guardian Chimera in here, but we are running Chaos Star Source, so that's something we'll probably go for most of the time with Branded in red, or just another, or something like Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. We have Branded in white. In a 60 card build, you run Branded in white, especially because you're probably running grass. I'm also running grass. 3 copies of Ketu DracoTail. Ketu DracoTail is busted, dude. Such a stupid card. It is very much custom. Being able to just pick and choose what interruptions you want to go ahead and get started and add to your hand. Plus, if you notice, Ketu DracoTail doesn't limit yourself to only DracoTail fusions. You can use it for any dragon or spellcaster monsters, man. That's so dumb. That's so stupid. You can use Ketu DracoTail to fuse into Dragoon if you wanted to on your opponent's turn. That's fair, right? We have the 3 copies of Rahu DracoTail. This is the Branded Fusion of the deck. It does limit you from only fusing into extra deck monsters. Only fusion monsters. I want to use this card, but who cares? We're only running fusions. We're running 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. This gives us 3 options to play into. We can play into a Cartesia, we can play into an Albaz, or we can actually bring out the Dark Magician through Fusion Deployment. So it's very much based on our hands. If I see I already have the Cartesia in the hand, I'm probably going for Dragoon. I mean, I'm probably going to go bring out the Dark Magician just to have it in rotation. 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. We have a very strong array of power spells and traps. We should be running Triple Tactics Thrust and 3 just to give us easier access to them. It's just really strong. 1 copy of Triple Tactics Thrust. And as you can see, a lot of these cards are ashable. A lot of them are ashable, but a lot of them do so much if they don't get ashed. So the opponent has to really pick and choose what they want to, want to keep. What they want to use their ash for. Basically, it just gives them so much annoyance. It always feels like the wrong answer if you're able to have multiple options for these things. For the traps, we're running 1 Branded Retribution. We're still going to run the 1 Retribution, just recycling branded cards. That's just how it is. Such a good card to use overall. Oftentimes, I'm noticing that I'm actually ending my Branded Fusion plays by using the effect of Albion the Branded Dragon to search for Retribution, just to have another negate. 1 copy of DracoTail Horn. Non-target attack position, compulsory evacuation device. I would say that I like many people don't realize this doesn't just apply to your opponent's monsters. This is your monsters as well. So you can technically use this to bounce a monster after you use its effect and you want to use it again, or to help dodge removal, like some type of interruption like an imperm. I actually used the horn to bounce a Lubellion the Searing Dragon because my opponent tried to use imperm to stop it and had no other way of stopping it. So I used horn to push through and draw a card, put it back into the extra deck, and push for game. Pretty neat. That means, by the way, that I did put my Lubellion the Searing Dragon in attack position, so also keep that in mind. If you're worried your opponent is going to have some type of target negation like an imperm or Veiler or what have you, and you really need your monster's play to go through in the grind game, use the horn to bounce that monster. Make sure you put it in attack position. So that's a little clue for you guys. DracoTail Flame, very powerful card, basically a spell negate until the end of the turn. I've used this on field spells so that they wouldn't be able to use it to open plays. So I've used this on the Vanquish Soul field spell, and I've used this on the Malice field spell just so they wouldn't be able to use it on their turn to make plays. And that put them in a honestly, I did this to somebody and they had to basically end their turn. Very neat. Very strong card. We're running the 1 copy of the Shaddoll Schism. This is how we go into our window in this build. And I'll go over it for anyone who isn't aware in a second. And then we'll go for the last card, 1 copy of Fusion Duplication. Okay. For the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Mirror Jade, 1 copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon, who is a little bit more important, actually is quite more important in this build than the Albion the Searing Dragon, to be personally honest with you. We are also running 1 of each of these. And typically you would see people run 2 copies of Albion the Branded Dragon. The reason why we can get away with it is because of our Arthalion. Arthalion is just, you guys don't understand how good Arthalion is. Arthalion and Lubellion is so important in recycling materials back into the deck or extra deck in order to make plays or back into our hand. So we're going to really be relying on Arthalion to get that done. And it just depends on your awareness during the duel what you really need the most. So we really only need to run 1. My first branded fusion is typically going for the Lubellion line anyway, so I only need the 1 Albion the Branded Dragon to dump off the Mirror Jade I'm going to be making. And then once that's done, I can just recycle that by making another Lubellion to make something like a Chaos Star Source Dragon, or if I really need to, Arthalion can put this back into the extra deck by bouncing it from the graveyard. We're running the 1 copy of the Albion the Sanctified Dragon. Yes, we are running the lock. I do not care what people think about this. I think you should be running this with the lock. We are also running Wind Dust, so being able to choose between the 2. Don't always have to go search for one or the other. Is just makes it so much more, much easier for me to just put some type of restrictions on my opponent. And honestly, with the things that are going on right now, especially with the turn 0 plays, I have no problems doing it to them. 1 Titanic Clad, the search, we typically use this to search for Quem or Fallen Albaz during the end phase. We rarely summon it. 1 copy of Rembram the Striking Dragon, pretty strong card to be honest with you. It is one of the cards I will be summoning under Shifter or under cards like Herald of the Arclight if they haven't, banished materials. I mean, negated the card already, but still. This very important card. You know, everyone knows about this if you play Branded. And now we're going to go into the 2 copies of the Grand Guignol. Grand Guignol has increased its purpose and strength in this deck. Is a very strong card. It's even stronger than in the previous format because we are running a very different way of summoning Winda compared to everyone else right now. It used to be something that people did all the time, by the way, but we'll get into that in a hot second. But obviously we're running the 2 so we can get the Quests, we can get Ido, and we'll get Shaddolls in the graveyard. For the DracoTail monsters, we are running 2 copies of DracoTail Arthalion. I would run 3 if I could, and I may even test that next week. Such a powerful, stupid card. Absolutely custom insane. You know, a lot of, bouncing. A lot of people don't have answers to getting their stuff bounced off the field. So this is really, really, really strong. And it's 3,000 attack, so it's hard to beat over regardless. Plus it can resurrect itself from the graveyard. 1 copy of the Gulamel. We only need 1 copy since we're running 2 DracoTail Arthalion. Being able to pop by chaining to the effects of DracoTails is nice. And now we get to some very nice teching here. We're running 1 copy of the El Shaddoll App Cologne. App Cologne is there to dump off of Grand Guignol. When it does that, we use the effect of App Cologne to search for the Shaddoll Schism. Discard a card. During the end phase, since we used Cartesia to make Grand Guignol, and we did send an extra deck monster to the graveyard, our fusion, we're able to put the Cartesia back in our hand that we just used for fusion material, basically paying for the discard off of App Cologne's effect, and then we use the Schism on our opponent's turn to fuse into El Shaddoll Winda. So this is the nastiness that I think everyone should be considering. If you do not want to consider this, that's totally fine because it does require 2 extra deck slots. But I honestly think it's worth it if you are running Cartesia. If you are running Cartesia in the deck, you should absolutely be running 1 copy of Grand Guignol, at least 1 copy of Shaddoll App Cologne, and 1 copy of Winda. It's just so free. It's so absurdly free, guys. Absolutely insane. I've done this way too many times, way more than Ido. To me, it feels easier to do this than through Ido lock, but I do want to keep both options in there for now. But absolutely, I sing this guy's praises all the time. This card has won me games so much. This combined with even Arthalion to bounce threats back to the field, to the hand, that are trying to kill the Winda is enough. Is honestly enough. Wait for them to special summon once, or at least trigger an effect to special summon, bring this out. Now they have to have a droplet. Now they have to have, a triple tactics talent to do something with it. But the thing is, even if they take the Winda, there's a thing about talents. If they try to take the Winda after they already special summoned, what are they doing with it? You see what I'm saying? All you have to do is make sure your other monsters are in defense position so that the Winda doesn't get slammed over. That's it. So, in that scenario, even talents doesn't do anything. And then if they try to use something like a Forbidden Droplet, a Dark Ruler, or more, you have the answer in your DracoTail cards. You have the answer in DracoTail Flame to stop the spell. So, this DracoTail Flame is so stupid, guys. Brandon's never had the ability to negate spells like this, and this makes the lock even stronger and easier to accomplish. For the last 2 cards, we were running 1 copy of the Chaos Star Source Dragon. I chose this over the Guardian Chimera because it requires less materials, and it helps us synergize with the Lubellion by being able to bring back materials to the deck and then return and then, make a 2-card pop with the Star Source Dragon. So it's something to go into off of Lubellion after I've done my initial plays. I can use this to put our Arthalions back into the deck and make a Chaos Star Source to pop for 1, using the Lubellion, of course. And like I said, guys, like Lubellion, returning stuff to the deck to make monsters for more interruptions. DracoTail, Arthalion doing the same thing by bouncing materials you need to your hand, you know, and then being able to put this back into the extra deck later on through the Lubellion to make something like a Star Source. You're constantly using these fusions to shuffle each other, and your grind game is going to be infinite because of this. And if your opponent has to deal with that while under the effect of Winnow, that's just a game. That's just a game loss. They're not going to be able to handle that. And you're talking about a deck that's able to do this while having one of the most comprehensive board-breaking in-engine packages in the game. Every other deck typically has to use a lot of non-engine to break boards going second. We don't have to do that, which means we have the opportunity to use more going first cards or more monsters that support our turn one plays while also being hand traps. So that the side deck is going to be monster heavy. As a result, when you're running DracoTails, you don't really want to run a lot of spells and traps in your sideboard when you're DracoTails because you want them to double as fusion materials when necessary. And then the last card here is we're running one copy of the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Dragoon is very, very interesting in this format. Being able to just sit there and negate, get stronger. Like Yummy doesn't really have an answer to this. Like straight up, they really do not have an answer to this at all. And it's very pleasing to see me being able to play not only Shaddolls, which I like playing, I just never had a reason to really go for it for a while, and then Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Absolutely insane. I am running the Dark Magician, so I'm able to use it for burn damage in the grind game or on a slow game. So that's why I'm going that route. I'm not running the King of the Swamp package in this build, but I can see the value in it. So we may try that at some point in a future build. We'll see. All right, and that's my extra deck. Now let's go to the side deck just a little bit here. All 15 cards here. 3 copies of the Lancia. We know we have to run that for Malice. Just no choice here. And then we run 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Pretty standard. And then we're running the 3 copies of the Perulia. We took this out of the main deck. I believe from my experience, I'd rather be able to have it when I know I'm going second. When I'm going first, I want as much gas as possible into my engine. Okay. While Perulia can be used as fusion material for the DracoTail stuff, not so much for the branded engine. So I'm focusing more on dragons, more on the darks, the dark monsters, and DracoTail specifically. So DracoTail monsters. So I'd rather have that available than the Perulias going first. Then we're running 2 copies of the Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More is going to be helpful for just, a thrustable target to be able to deal with an opponent's board. Yummy flails against this, to be honest with you. But typically, we don't need this too much against a lot of things. I think, to be honest with you, I've seen some people run 3. That's fine, I guess. I just feel like I don't need it because DracoTail and Brandon do so much board breaking already. This is just kind of helping them out a little bit. So yeah, running 2 Dark Ruler No More, and I'm going to run 2 copies of the Forbidden Droplet. Still a very strong card. There are ways to get around this, especially in the DracoTail matchup, but still a very strong card. Just another board breaking option. We're not running stuff like Harpy's Feather Duster because we have enough ability to break in engine, take care of spells and traps through Urgula and through Star Source, stuff like that. And then the last card for time, we're running the 1 copy of the Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon. So that's our deck for today. We're going to be trying it out for a few locals and see how it goes. I'm looking forward to summoning Dragoon. To be completely honest with you, I just love this deck. This deck is so fun, dude. This deck is so fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and get myself ready to go. Thank you so much for watching the video. I do think, like I said, final thoughts. This is probably the best variant of DracoTail, straight up. I also think if you want to run Shaddolls in a 60 card build so you can get access to Winda, the best way to do it is through Cartesia. You should not be expecting to turn 1-0 Winda someone in a 60 card deck. So as a result, I get it this way through Cartesia way more consistently, and it's just way more potent. Because I'm doing it through Schism, I can use it to kind of interrupt cards like Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More, or interrupt cards like Forbidden Droplet, chaining the Schism to it, and then activating other cards and effects if I needed to, right? Plus, this lets me respond with a 1 card when my opponent tries to special summon, and then they're locked. Like if I Schism somebody who's playing Yummy and they go into Obedience School, they're screwed. If they go Obedience School and I chain Schism into Winda, they're done. Their turn is over. You know, so I just think it's amazing. It's just absolutely insane. Thank you so much for watching the video. Give it a shot. Try it out. Let me know what you think. And let's make Branded the best deck. Let's go.